Well, what's going on, guys? It's Brandon back here again, and yes, this is a very different setting from my usual room. My room is currently occupied, so I cannot use that as of right now. But this is just for today, and also I'm going to be going on vacation soon, so the last preseason game, the BFR might be on the road, we'll see. Might be in a hotel or something like that, so I might two off-site locations. So, first game of the season between Nashville and San Jose in the Prague, Czech Republic is going on right now. It's the first intermission. It's 1-1 between the teams. Going to keep watching that. Going to be entertaining. But we have a BFR to do, and since it's a half day, I get easy stuff to do. So preseason game 5 was in Minnesota against the Minnesota Wild. Troy Murray was on the booth today, or on that day. Patrick Sharp sat the one out. It was at 7 p.m. on October 6th. And Minnesota wins 4-1 as Chicago drops to 1-4 in the preseason with one game remaining against St. Louis tomorrow. I think, yeah. So shots were 26-23 Chicago. That does not tell the story. Hits were 17-15 Minnesota. Faceoffs were 24-23 Minnesota. Power play, Chicago goes 0 for 6. Most of those were in the third period, and that's where all their shots came from. Minnesota goes 0 for 2. Stalock saved 19 out of 23, and Philip Gustafsson saves 25 out of 26. The lines were first line Tyler Johnson, Tays, Athanasiou, who had a really good game, I thought. Second line, Kurashev, Domi, and Radish. Third line, Colton Dock, who I thought also played really well. Lafferty and Entwistle. Fourth line, Blackwell, Reese Johnson, and Robinson. On the defense, we had Jack Johnson and Seth Jones on the first pair, Vlasic and Ruse on the second pair. Vlasic did not have a good game, especially in the second period. And then Stillman and Regula in the third pairing. And then Stalock, of course, was the goalie for Chicago. And yeah, Gustafsson at the other end. And Fleury, he was talking to Tays before the game. I'm trying not to shake. This is on my lap right now. Tays and Fleury were talking before the game. That was nice to see. And we'll get right into it. So Gaudreau missed the net early. No whistles in the first 10 minutes of the period. Colton Dock is physical. Rossi just missed the net. Kurashev is denied. Gaudreau just misses. Brodin blocks a 2-on-1 for Chicago. But then Buddy Robinson gave the puck away right at the net, and from Zuccarello takes it, gets it right over to Marco Rossi, and at 9:21, it's a one-timer Minnesota goal for Marco Rossi from Zuccarello to make it 1-0. And then it was just no chance for Stalock. And then at 9:08, 13 seconds later, it's off a Minnesota rebound that it was originally Sam Sealed who shot it, and then Freddie Gaudreau followed it up. Stalock was already down. There was no chance of him getting it, and it was 2-0, 13 seconds apart. And that would also be it for the first period. Second period, Hawks have not had a shot in 15 minutes. And then Domi forgot the puck on a breakaway. Dumbo one-timer missed. Minnesota was playing good defense. Hawks pressure a little. Seth Jones high-sticked and there's no call. Radish was stopped. Regula's denied. Then at 11:30, it's a Minnesota penalty to Sam Steele for high-sticking, which would be killed. Zuccarello missed the net. Then at 5:41, it's a Chicago goal from Jack Johnson with a blast. It's from Seth Jones and Tays to make it 2-1. Duhaime put Doc into the ice and there was no penalty, so in retaliation, Stillman went over to Duhaime and started to beat him up. So at 5:20, it was coincidental minor penalties between Stillman and Duhaime for unsportsmanlike conduct, so it was 4-on-4. Vlasic missed the net, Kaprizov just missed. And then at 2:59, it's a Minnesota breakaway goal from Matt Zuccarello from Kaprizov and Rossi, and that makes it 3-1. And then at 2:39, it's a Minnesota penalty to Rossi for hooking, which would be killed. And then the third happens, and this is where Minnesota just says, we're going to see how many penalties we can take, and they still can't score. Domi to Radish to Kurashev, excellent passing play, was denied. Hawks were pressuring, and then at 18:20, that pressure works as Minnesota penalty to Kaprizov for hooking, which would be killed. And then at 13:44, it's a Minnesota deflected goal by Sam Steele from Goligoski to make it 4-1, and Stalock had no chance. Steele was left wide open, the defense was awful, and he just redeflected it right in, so Steele getting a preseason goal with his new team. The Schuster stick was the one, and then there's a Minnesota penalty at 10:48. So the goal was at 13:44. At 10:48, it's a Minnesota penalty to Fogarty for high sticking, which would be killed. But the ironic part was Fogarty wasn't actually the one that high sticked him. It was actually Schuster's stick that came up and hit. I want to say it was Regula or Stillman or one of those two. But yeah. And then at 9:02, it's a Minnesota penalty to Dumba for roughing, and I don't really know what he was doing. He just kind of started just pushing and you start grabbing and putting Colton Dock into the ground. I'm not sure what he was doing. But yeah, so that made it a 5-on-3 for 14 seconds. Both of those penalties would be killed. Athanasiou stopped. Radish was stopped. Colton Dock has had a good game. I wrote down at this point. Then at 6:20, Minnesota penalty to Rossi for delay of game, which would be killed, and that'd be the final penalty that they would take. Because at 4:31, Chicago penalty to Domi for tripping, which would be killed because there was 4-on-4. There was 4-on-4 for 11 seconds, and the rest of it was killed off. Lafferty stopped, Lafferty breakaway, and passed back to Jack Johnson, which was weird enough. And then Jack Johnson dangled around 2 players, and then he had a backhand that was stopped. 8 shots in the last 2 periods for the Wild, so that means they had 15 in the first period. They had 8 over the next 2, and then I wrote down at the bottom, the Wild controlled the first period, it was middle ground in the second, and then Chicago completely controlled the third. And yeah, so that's really all I have for you guys today. I'm going to go finish watching the first game of the NHL season. I have a football game to attend to later for high school. It's going to be cold, 47 degrees, I believe. But if I don't make another video by the time I leave for vacation tomorrow, maybe I'll probably get the last BFR up around probably on Sunday or something like that. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I shall see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.